I just want to make sure I see it on the Dani Perro Show page.
All right. There. Make sure we're sitting in the right spot. There we are.
No problem.
Oh, that's better. My stand was in the way.
As I'm about to get started, I think I'm about to sneeze. Just give me a second.
Uh-oh.
They said look at the light, right? Let me see.
It's the season. I've had the same thing every day. I get up and have about 3 or 4 sneezes, That's the way it is.
It's killing me. It just comes and goes. It's eyes tearing. It's allergy season. Yeah. We're officially, you could 100% say we're officially in spring, I guess now. So, all right, perfect. So I'm just going to share it. All right, so we are live on Facebook. So I'm just going to get this countdown started. So just give me 1 second. Right, I'm going to start the countdown. So we'll be right back to start the show.
Cool.
Good evening, everyone. Today is Tuesday, April 30th, 2024. Welcome to the Dani Perro Show here in the home studio tonight. We're so excited to have our wonderful guest joining us here. As you all know, I want to say born and raised definitely in Ottawa, Canada. Thank you for your time, John. It's really excited to meet you. I have John Dorsch here, and I appreciate your time.
Pleasure to be here, Dani. Thank you.
So, you're welcome. So, John, if you could get us a little bit started. We're all so curious as to understand you as a musician, right? So we want to know a little bit from the beginning of where your interest first started versus what instrument you started playing when you were younger.
Okay, so you want me to tell a story, I think. So anyway,
take it away.
Music was always in the house. My mother loved polkas and musicals and singing, and when I was a child, I do remember a lot of that happening in the house. And my father liked classical music, Bach and Pavarotti and different things like that. So of course later on I rebelled and got into rock and roll, of course, and all that. But they bought me an accordion at the age of 8, wanted me to play accordion and learn to play polkas and play dances and work my way through university and become a doctor. That was their kind of sort of roadmap for my life, and then I decided
to be a doctor.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what they wanted me to do. But anyway, of course I got my own ideas a little bit later, and I played accordion for about 4 years, did very well at it, and learned to read music. And in high school, I played trumpet and played in the high school band and did musicals with the trumpet, and started to become exposed to guitar and things like that. And a friend of mine had me try to play Maggie May on his acoustic guitar and completely destroyed my fingers for like a few days. It's a tough one to play. But anyway, when you're first starting out and have no finger calluses. But my dear uncle took me to, he was a great uncle. He took me around and, he'd build a rink for you to play hockey or take you to a movie or buy you a record album. So the first record album he bought me was Kiss Alive 1, and I was just kind of blown away that this is like, wow, theatrical, energetic rock and that stuff like that, even though I couldn't play any of it. But he had he had a brother that played in a Kingston touring rock band, and they were playing all the great music of Toto and Aerosmith, and I had a big stage show, but they had a rehearsal that was like a full rehearsal, dress rehearsal and big sound and everything. So he took me to see them when I was about 12, and I was completely riveted. And the lead singer put his Les Paul in my hand and had me play along with the song "Taking Care of Business" by PTO, and I was forever hooked on playing rock and roll and wanted to learn it. Yeah, exactly. Very inspirational. So that's where it kind of started. Yeah, that's where it started.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about when you currently were in school and you were doing trumpet and stuff for the musicals. Were you just doing musical instruments, or were you also part of the theater as well? Like any music, like
Uh,
singing?
I wasn't doing the singing part. When I
Okay.
started out, I wasn't singing. Only singing along, with songs as I was doing DJing work too as well. So I'd sing along with songs that way, but I was
Okay.
never the lead singer or anything. I always played the instruments in the band and helped with sound and kind of just played along as the cool guitar player. I kind of thought that was more my thing back then, but that's all kind of changed. Singing and playing is a great thing together.
Yeah, it is. Well, obviously now as a musician, it's
Yeah,
definitely combined, in the beginning.
it
So,
is.
when did you feel like you got a little bit more, I want to say interested in music, but what about for your voice, singing wise? When did you
Uh,
start to get more professional in your career?
Well, I've always sang backup in the rock bands and things like that, but I never
Okay.
thought I was very, very, very good at it. But and then I've been writing my own, music, you know, um, over the years, and trying to find a singer to sing that because I sort of had this idea like Led Zeppelin, like I have to find the great singer to sing my music and that kind of thing. And that never really sort of happened. So
Okay.
it was probably around 2013, 2014, about 11 years ago that I thought, you know what, I'm just going to start singing my own material here, even though I don't particularly like my own voice. I don't think many singers like their own voice. It just feels, you hear your head voice, you don't really hear the recording of it when you're singing, right? So,
Very true.
so anyway,
Yeah.
after working at it, I got better at it, and I kind of started to really like it, and started writing my own songs and things like that. And it's actually good to sing the song even when you're not the lead singer, because if he can't sing that night because he's sick, then you can sing the song, right?
You
And
could step in for him.
song,
Yeah, that's awesome. You get the opportunity to kind of help the person, if they're sick or anything like that.
yeah, or if
Yeah,
they
that's
lose their voice halfway through the night or something happens, right? So that's sort of how it started, and then now I've just been doing my own thing. I have another band on the side that does dance music, and I sing, probably a dozen songs in a night with that band as well. But they have other singers, and it's just a fun dance band. But it's not my original music; it's a cover band sort of thing.
cover
But
band. What type of
yeah,
cover is the dance band that you're also part
they
of?
do everything from 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, right up to a couple of current ones. It's pretty diverse band, and just anything that'll put people on the dance floor is their kind of formula is what they
That's
do.
exact.
And it's
Yeah.
just a fun, it's just a fun thing, right? So, but
What's the name of the band?
they're called the G Men. The G Men. They're
Mm,
based in Brockville. Yeah, so they play, twice a month sort of thing. So that, keeps me in the bar circuit and plugged into the network and things like that. And while I'm actively writing and performing on my own, I do solo stuff, more acoustic oriented with my wife, and she sings and plays on a djembe with me. So we do a duo performance, and that fits in smaller venues and things like that. So
and
there's the
that's you
kind
and
of two
Danielle,
things.
right?
That's right. Yeah, Danielle's my wife. Yeah, Danny,
I
like
love.
yourself, she prefers to be called.
I know, right? That's perfect. Like they couldn't come together any other way. But I wanted to
Exactly.
talk a little bit before we talk about you and obviously your amazing wife duo. I want to get a little bit more interested with your music. So on your
Sure.
biography, and many times I've read this over and over again, and I was just kind of concerned. I was confused. But I was like, I know he's going to explain this obviously on the show, and I wanted to make sure. But if you could explain to me, obviously being a teenager, when you use the pennies to slow down the vinyl records to play the guitar song, how does that work? Like you didn't break the vinyl, did you? Did you put it on the needle?
No.
Like,
Well,
oh,
I wore it out actually is what happened. But my mother had an old turntable that had a 16 speed on it. So there was
okay.
different speeds. Like, there was 45s that played faster, the small
Yeah.
albums. Then the 33 speed was a bigger one, and then a 16 one was sort of they were made at a different speed, sort of thing. So they actually played the 33 a little slower, which was kind of nice.
Okay.
So
Yes.
so what would happen is like the voice wouldn't be quite as high. It would sink down a little bit, and the guitar would be a little slower, so you could pick up the notes a little bit easier, right? What I would do is I was actually put weights on the album. I had like one of those plastic lifting weights that just fit on the album, and it would put enough weight on it and slow the turntable down enough that I would turn my I knew when they're playing an E note like in Whole Lot of Love or something like that, I could turn my E down to the lower note and match it up. So my guitar played kind of sloppy, but I could learn how to play it and then when you turn it back up, you have it under your fingers. You know what I mean? So it was a
That's
bit of a
just
painstaking process. It was a painstaking process, but I had a couple of friends that were trying to do the same thing, and I seemed to be pretty good at it. I could figure out things note for note and kind of learn
that's
things.
you have a good
That's how you
you have a
learn by.
good ear for the musician part of it.
Yeah, you train your ears because I'm not reading music. I'm learning the notes from the sound, right? So it's actually helped me a lot because I can play by ear pretty well. So
That's awesome. That's really incredible. But I was like, when I first found it in your bio, I was like, wonder if he like almost broke the vinyl, if it was like an easier way for
right.
you to learn how to play the guitar because you wanted to make
Well,
sure you tuned your ears to the keys of the, the different shapes of beat.
I did scratch the albums quite a bit and things like that because the needles are sharp. But it's like if you make a mistake and you want to play it over again, you have to lift the needle and move it. So you're constantly kind of wearing it down. And if you're a little hasty and hit the needle, it goes, you know what I mean? Like it's
The noises. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Well, no, that was
exactly.
that was actually just something where I was like, it just stood out to me where I was like, I'm gonna ask him about it because I was just curious, as opposed to obviously you just growing up and what you found was your niche, what you really liked.
Yeah,
I
there
mean,
was nobody there's nobody to teach it. There's no YouTubes. They hadn't invented tablature or YouTube teachers or anything. And there was the only teacher that was around was strumming the odd Beatles tune, and he didn't do any leads or anything like that. So I had to figure all that out. I go just like sit in your room and make it work. That's kind of how trial and error, right? So
so you practically also taught yourself more of guitar, you would say.
pretty much, yeah. I had about 6 months of acoustic lessons when I first started, and then they couldn't teach me any more of like Led Zeppelin. I wanted to learn all of that, and there's the Beach Boys and the Beatles and whatever. They didn't know how to play all the different
Oh,
stuff. So, yeah,
okay.
yeah. So I started learning all that on my own, and there was a couple of other bands around that I thought, okay, so that's how they're doing it. I'll just try to do it the same way. I didn't play with them, but they were doing the same thing, just listening and kind of making it their own, and listening to Cream and some the other Eric Clapton and different stuff like that. So
Yeah, different musicians and stuff that you were kind of
yeah,
growing up to
yeah,
listen to, what you
yeah.
liked. Now, growing up, considering yourself as an artist as you are now, do you consider, because you liked rock music, like growing up, that was something you'd like to do. What would you consider saying that your genre is if people want to know exactly what you play?
Well, it's sort of like Canadiana. It's kind of like Americana, but Canadiana version sort of thing. So it's a
Oh,
combination between electric and acoustic and singing with harmony and melody and sort of all of that sort of put together. So there's some rock edge to it, some rock melody, but it's not metal or anything, and it's not pure country, sort of thing. It's got a little bit of a different pop kind of groove to it.
were you
Sort of.
were you
Go ahead.
looking into anything pure metal for rock? Was that
At
something
at
that you were
times,
into?
well, there was I had my turn at every style. So it's like, when I was on the road, well, after I left university, I was on the road for a couple of years, and we played all the hard rock from Zeppelin and whatever. That was considered heavy metal, but it's not now.
Yes,
But
yeah. A lot
and then
changed.
when I moved to Toronto, I was in college for 2 years. I joined a band called Mad Hatter, and they were based out of Newmarket, and we played metal like Iron Maiden, Scorpions, all of that.
Wow.
Yeah,
Metallica?
all that, the LA hair metal, and two fingers on the neck, and doing Eddie Van Halen solos and all that kind of stuff. I learned all that stuff, and it
Okay.
was a riot. You wear spandex and you're kind of got your hair all done up and all that kind of stuff. So back in the day, right? So
That was the hair bands. Yes. Do you
it was a
dress like
hair
that
band for a
now
while.
on stage?
I haven't. No, there's another band I played in. We kind of resurrected that. It was called Hollywood Tees. So we played all the '80s hair metal for a full set, and did that for about a year and a half, and then it's it,
Wow.
it's still it's a very technical set. Like it's a guitar player's intense, study sort of thing. So, but if you want to do something else, you kind of got to put that away and move on. I found so.
Of
I
course.
kind of fell in love with other styles. I get tired of a particular style and moved on, and got inspired into fingerstyle and acoustic playing, and got exposed to all of that. And there's kind of no turning back, if you know what I mean. You kind of have the sum of all your influences now, if you know what I mean.
I wanted to know, because we're talking about your influences, do you want to say that probably like Van Halen, Led Zeppelin, like those are people that you did look up to in the music industry, like somebody that you wish you could have like play with.
Yeah, well, my first idol would be, Jimmy Page for sure. So that's one of I remember seeing his picture, holding the Les Paul slung low, and his
Hmm.
hair all sweaty, holding the violin bow. And I remember seeing that and going, wow, I want to do that. And then, of course, being Canadian, the band Rush was a huge influence on me. I always thought, if I could be in a band and be the guitar player. I love Alex Lifeson. He's probably one of the greatest guitar players that ever lived and is still living. But if I
Yeah.
could replace him in the band of Rush and play with Neil Peart and Geddy Lee all day, that would be like the ultimate rock band to play in. Always love the intensity of that kind of music, art rock, sort of thing. So
Yeah.
love
So
that.
those are types of some of the inspirations that you would like
Yeah.
to work with in the industry.
Yeah. If I got the opportunity, I certainly would. So like the cover band I play in, it's like I kind of get my yah-yahs out. I get to play my electric guitar like a crazy maniac again, which is lovely. But
Oh,
and
that's fun. That's something new. That's something that you
yeah,
work with.
it just keeps you fresh, right? You know what I mean? Keeps you fresh.
Yeah.
The other inspirations are like, Tommy Emmanuel made a huge impression on me playing acoustic guitar because it just kind of, when you've learned so much and all of a sudden then this whole world kind of opens up in front of you, like you can play it all on one guitar and you can come up with these fantastic melodies. And with finger picking, it kind of sort of takes some of the piano ideas and puts them onto the guitar as a whole band accompaniment. So I've sort of tried to incorporate that approach in a lot of my music. It's a huge impression on me. And you know um, that's kind of where it's at right now. It's kind of trying to take a little bit of that finger style and melody. And then another one is John Mayer. I love John Mayer's playing.
Oh yes.
And
Oh,
singing
amazing.
is, it's the total package. He's got the great blues playing like Stevie Ray. Stevie Ray was a huge influence on me. I Anyway, in my policing career, I broke my hand one time. It was the guitar fretting hand. I broke this bone here.
Oh,
And anyway, it was a work problem that I had to heal from. But anyway, it really destroyed my guitar playing for a long time. For
so you
two
had to take
years, I could
a long time
two
to
years
heal.
could not use this little pinky. And so I ended up. Everybody goes, you can play blues with your free fingers, right? Listen to Stevie Ray Vaughan. He hardly uses. So I did, and that's what I did. I learned a lot of Stevie Ray Vaughan and a lot of blues. So I have a lot of blues based approach to my guitar as well. So
That's
there's
awesome. So you have different ways to
yeah.
kind of collab and do different like, chords as opposed to when you broke your pinky and you were able to teach yourself something different with using the three
That's
fingers.
exactly. You have to overcome your obstacles, right? So I was never one to sit there. It's like, okay, I want to record an album and it's the pandemic. Okay, so I can't go in a studio, can't do any of that.
Mm.
I'm gonna build my own studio and we're gonna record it here. So that's what I did. So I actually built a studio. So it's like no problem is insurmountable if you focus your attention on it and work your way through it, really.
I wanted to go back to where you were talking about you were a police officer. You were
Yeah.
currently in college for a police officer, or this was your job? You'd go to boot
Um,
camp,
I
right?
It was before I got hired. So I got hired when I was 20, I was 25. So it's like, I was on the road. You don't make a lot of money. I was having a lot of fun, but my father was saying, if you want to have a family, you need to really kind of have a stable job. You can always play guitar. Why don't you get, become a cop, do something like that. It'd be great. You'd be great at it. So I
Yeah.
thought, let's do that. So I hadn't set my mind on it just yet, but I thought, okay, well, I should get a college degree. That might help me get a stable job, right? So,
Yeah.
who knows? So anyway, it did help me get that job in the end. So I took police foundations, is what they call it. So it gives you all the grounding in all of that. And I ended up working in the field as a private investigator first. I quite like that, you know, and
You had to get your
then
foot in the door.
that's right. Yeah, I wasn't sure I wanted to do the cop thing because it's a different trend. It's a different job. It's dangerous. You
Yeah.
know, it's a little bit of it's not recommended for everybody. But at that point in my life, I felt like I was up to it, and I no regrets. I very much enjoyed the career, but it does take a toll on you. You see a lot of stuff you probably shouldn't normally see, and
Mm.
you can't unsee things, right? So, and But anyway, we can write music about it. So
I was going to say, how did that help incorporate into your music career? Do
it
you
was a
write
huge,
inspiration about
it
your
was a
job?
huge, it was a huge outlet. So I've alluded to a couple of things. One of the tunes on my album Elevation that I put out here is called "Save Just One More Life." Anyway, it's kind of about can we just save one more life? Just one. You know what I mean? It was kind of like that kind of a thing, just a plea. But it's a song of hope. You have to reach out
Yeah.
and help people. Not it's never too late to help someone.
So that song was basically kind of for to show a change in the world. Everybody take a look and see kind of what's going on. Take a,
Yeah, it was.
take a pause and understand
Yeah,
that it's time we need to give back, and just give the time for a person that maybe you lost or anything like that too.
yeah. We need the world needs some more empathy. Well, more than it has, and a little more
Very
patience. Yeah, exactly. So it needs a little more patience. People need. Not everybody learns and deals with things the same way. People are dealing with countless things that would break anybody's back. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Divorces, stuff that happens, car accidents, all kinds of stuff. And some people
Anything
need
can
time.
happen. Any day, any second, anything can happen.
Well, I've been wrecked in car accidents a number of times at work and things like that. And, by the grace of God, you live today, right? So, and, it could be
God
gone
bless.
tomorrow. And, that's it.
God
So,
bless.
so the song it's a song of hope, and it speaks a good message about empathy is what, I put it out as.
And when you also were a police officer, did you perform at events and stuff as well? Like to promote yourself to, probably still on the back scene doing the music, but I'm sure you had gotten a chance
I,
to like incorporate that involved.
I didn't promote my personal experience in a band, like, and when I worked in Ottawa the last stretch, I
Yeah.
played in bands on the side, but work and music were kind of exclusive. Even though I met my wife that way, she happened to be coming to events and see me playing, and we figured out that I worked at the same place she does anyway. So that's the sort
Okay.
of backstory of how we met. But anyway, when I worked years ago in Durham, they had a band called the Cruisers, and they just did 50s and 60s dance music. It was like a kind of a very small thing. It just sort of started,
Yeah.
and they were doing the odd little community event. And when I joined the band, I kind of brought this rock edge to the band, like Eddie Van Halen, and could play Pearl Jam and all kinds of
Course,
stuff.
for the type of
And
interest, yeah.
yeah, so the singer that joined the band came from Toronto. His name was Scott Dargy, and he had a really good, John Mellencamp voice. Grit, a lot of, he could scream his lungs out all day long and still talk. He had a great voice. So we kind of hit it off, and the direction of the band went more into the, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and we played at quite a few fundraisers. Really raised the profile of the community events. Like we played for free at every community event, probably
Aw,
like
okay. Yeah,
60
because
of
you
them in
want
a
to get the
year.
name out there and probably did you bring a lot of people too, like crowds and
Yeah,
families?
yeah, it really kind of built a good following. They were called the Cruisers, the band. So anyway,
Okay. I like
I
that, like
remember
slow
yeah,
cruising.
when the Twin Towers came down in New York and the
Mhm.
terrorist attack, we did a huge fundraiser in Oshawa, in the Oshawa Center. They put us up in the Oshawa Center, and we raised probably, I think it was like $15,000 to help with
The whole situation.
yeah, the wounded people, and try to get people out, right? So, sold T-shirts, made T-shirts up, and did all kinds of stuff. So it was a really good experience. But
God bless. That was a way of your giving back. Also
yeah,
being
oh
a
yeah,
cop.
it was.
That's
Yeah, I
amazing.
wasn't paid. Wasn't paid anything like that, but I got to wear a uniform, and they kind of let me go and play if it conflicted with work, and then I'd go back and have to do calls and whatever. But hey, it was a lot of fun, right? So
Well, I'm glad. I mean, unfortunately you have to build a lot of experiences and opportunities as a musician because it's also like your life, right? And you live by your life, and your inspiration comes throughout anything. You could be getting inspiration literally as soon as the show ends today from your wife Danielle about something.
that's
Inspiration
right.
just flees. And I'm sure being a
Well,
musician, it's probably hard for you to sleep because you probably get ideas. Or you want to wake
Well,
up in the
that's the
middle of the
thing.
night and write them down?
That's the thing. I'm smart now. I have a pocket. I have a recorder with me. Actually, it's right here on the desk here. So
Okay. Yeah.
it's one of these little things. It's called a Zoom recorder. So it's a little digital recorder. So it's always there when I get the inspiration, so I don't lose it because you can't remember these things. It'll be gone tomorrow. So if I wake up in the middle of the night and I go, oh, that's that melody. It just sunk in because it's music's funny that way. It just kind of percolates and all of a sudden, smack. It's like there's an idea there or a melody, and then I'll have to sit down and pull the chords out of it and kind of pull it out of my head and put it on the instrument, and then I've got lyrics coming all the time that I text to myself, and keep a rolling list of different song ideas and whatnot, and then whatever sort of fits the mood, I'll put those two together. Is how it kind of works.
Which one
And
comes quicker to you, lyrics or music in your writing industry?
well, it used to be the music first all the time, and now it seems to be the reverse. I'll
Really? Okay.
I find with travel, I'll see, we'll go hike a mountain or do something in nature or whatever, and then that'll just kind of wakes your soul up somehow. It's just kind of mysterious how that works. And then the next time I pick up the guitar, there'll be some magic happening. I'll be hearing a melody going between the chords that fits an idea that I was thinking about, such as there'll be a song on the upcoming album. My father used to, he's passed away, of course, but he used to lift the
Here's your-
train bridge. He worked for the CP Rail, and the he would operate the train bridge, for the train going by and things like that. So that idea fit with a melody very kind of perfectly, and you get this sort of chill and feeling that you're creating something and you can feel like it belongs. You know what I mean? It's organic. That's hard to do. Hard to
I
explain.
mean, it comes like that to me as a radio show host. The opportunity when I get a chance to interview you and a whole bunch of different musicians out there, independent wise, just getting an idea of kind of what your bio is and how you are and the way to get to know you, it just is easier for communication, right? So I feel like communication is also something as you can take for inspiration into your music. And lyrics can just snowball after that, the whole snowball effect. And the
Yeah.
inspiration comes whenever, like I was saying before. And it also is, it could be your biggest hit and you don't even know it.
Well, most of the professionals have no idea which one's going to be a hit either. So it's like, at the end of the day, you can't write your music for everybody else. It's nice if everybody likes it, and hopefully they
Yes.
get a great message out of it. But you really have to, paint the picture for yourself. You want to be proud of your own picture, right? And you want it to kind of move you. If it moves you, hopefully it'll move other people too. But if it's not working for you, it's not going to probably work outside
That's
of you.
totally, yeah, that's definitely the inspiration that I think we all look into for musicians. Because getting the opportunity to interview somebody like you when you had been in a lot of independent bands, and you moved to solo. Now, are you John Dorsch band or is this just you as a solo artist as well as all the bands you're a part of as well?
Well, it kind of got confusing for a while, so I just call it John Dorsch Music. So now it's like you're kind of hiring John Dorsch Music. So what's coming today? Well, it's the duet is coming, my wife and whatever, or it's John Dorsch playing with the G Men, sort of thing. So
Got
um,
it. But I'm sure obviously you have all your stuff scheduled, right? So you'll know when you're part of this versus you. No,
yeah, yeah,
but you performing by yourself, is it mostly you and Danielle as a duo? Or is it you as
yeah,
well as a solo artist?
yeah. It's a duo, but it just appears as John Dorsch. She likes to be the silent partner sort of thing. So.
But I'm sure she gets the credit in the back. It's fine.
Absolutely. She helps produce much of what I do. She'll help critique me when I'm in the music process. I used to not like it very much because it felt like somebody was telling me what to do. But once you kind of go, I got to get over that and just kind of objectively look at my own music, then it's much easier because there was some songs I'd written before. There was one called "Faith in Me" on the new album that
Mhm.
it was sort of originally the idea was an '80s power ballad, kind of that Journey would do or something. But I can't sing Journey. But anyway, nobody's Steve Perry, right? So anyways, you go, why don't you, the lyrics are good. Why don't you kind of just rewrite the music or take another fresh look at it? And I bought a resonator guitar that plays slide like Ry Cooder would play, And I
Okay.
thought, okay, I'm just going to use this new instrument and try to come up with something. So that's the song. I came up with that song and the slide riff, and it kind of blew up on YouTube a bit there, which is kind of cool. And that had some fun with it. But that's just kind of taking a song and writing fresh music to it, completely different key, completely different. But
So we had talked a little bit in the beginning, prior to you and Danielle, how you guys had met previously in the job that you currently had,
yeah,
back then. And it was more of when you guys had met, did you see anything? Did you ever think that she would be one of your partners to perform with you? Did you know that she could sing? Like, with all
this
time?
all just got this is one of those things that is life just a bunch of pure chances, or is there something organic, kind of flowing along through life that makes it all sensible? So
Yeah.
anyway, it's ironic. I first met her when I started with Ottawa Police, but she had really long hair at the time, and
Okay.
she just was doing a training session when I first arrived there on how to use the radio. Like, I'd already been on the job for 20 years. I know how to be a police officer, but I didn't know how to operate their radio system. So she just did
Oh, so you were learning.
a class on, this is how you operate our radio and stuff like that. So that's when I first met her. But otherwise, after that, she became a voice on the radio that, she was my dispatcher. She would tell me calls and things, and I
Oh,
would, so I intimately knew her voice, right? And but so years go on, and then later on, she became a person called the pay duty coordinator, which, if they shut down an intersection and they need to do construction, this is a coordinator that works for the entire city of Ottawa. There's one person, she does it all. And they
wow.
organize the officers off duty to go and do these off duty events, like, schools and concerts and all kinds of things. So,
Things like that.
so
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, she's also a music lover. So she would come, and she recognized me from coming to see one of my shows. I was playing with a Tragically Hip tribute band called Totally Hip. We were doing a big show. We had, 400 or 500 people in the room, and she came up and complimented me on the guitar playing, because we were a pretty good band, actually. Everybody was really enjoying the show. We had a whole bunch of people coming up afterwards, really express their enjoyment for the music. So anyway, she was issuing me a pay duty a few weeks later, and when she popped the page up, it had my picture on it, and so she goes, "That's the guitar player in the band." But nobody in Ottawa Police knew I played in the band because I didn't
Oh,
broadcast.
okay.
So she
Correct.
goes,
But
"I'm
she
sure
knew.
that's the guy."
Yeah.
So when she called me on the phone to offer me the job, she struck up a conversation, said, "I think I recognize your picture from the band." And I said, "Yeah, I am. I just don't broadcast it." So we struck up a conversation after that, and she, came out again and saw the band a few times. And I happened to be single, and now we're married, and that's just kind of how things kind of flow along. So
I love how you mentioned that you happened to be single at that time, John.
I happened to be single at that time, without getting into that whole, thing. Anyway, so I have 3 children. They're all
Okay.
doing very well, but I don't
Incredible.
have the first marriage it didn't last. So anyway,
Well, I wanted to know within this marriage with Danielle, when you obviously had kids and
yeah.
stuff too, where then did you feel like you wanted her to be a part of the music scene with you? Was this shortly
Yeah.
when you guys were dating? Were you guys like, did you know that she sang?
I didn't know actually right away. So it's like, as we continued on, we lived together for a year and then got married after that. So during that first year of living together, occasionally the band would be in my living room, and we would rehearse in the living room, because I had my own 3-piece band, and I was the lead singer and playing guitar in the band, and I had a drummer and a bass player, and there was another 3-piece band I was trying to get going. I was thinking about retiring in the next year or two, and then just transitioning into playing music in the different bands. And then pandemic came along and kind of changed all those game plans. So
Okay.
anyway, we're kind of focused on my own material now, and I have the other band on the side. It just kind of rejigged everything. But a period of time, the 2 different bands would be in the house, and I'd be singing and playing along, and then she'd be singing along with the songs as well. And it's like, wow, my wife can, you can sing. Says, well, she's always been a shower singer, but I'd never heard her sing.
Sure.
So
So it's
it's like it just kind of started that way, and then It's like, maybe we should sing together. Why don't we sing together? So it's like, just coming into the pandemic made it very easy, because all it was is us stuck at the house and staring at each other, playing guitar and singing, and that's how it sort of organically happened. And
So
it actually
my next
started in 2019, and then the pandemic kind of made it a full-time thing, if you like. So
So I wanted to know, my next question prior to what you had mentioned with the pandemic was, how do you feel like the pandemic had affected your career? Do you think it affected it then positively because you and Danielle got a chance to work one on one and understand each other's musician flows as opposed
it's
to the lights?
well, coming into it, it was pretty sour. It pretty much wrecked all the band ideas that I had. I couldn't record the album. I wanted to do an album too at the same time. So it's
Okay.
kind of like all my ideas of the bands continuing, they all kind of fell apart because, guys lost their jobs, guys moved away, and it's like, okay, so we'd have to really start all over again with those ideas. So it allowed us. So when you have lemons, you got to make lemonade, right? So I thought, okay, well, we'll build the studio, and then we started having fun with it and working with it. And I thought, this feels like it's going to go on forever. I think now's the time I'm going to actually work on my own stuff, completely focused on it. And so
Awesome.
that's what I actually did. And you know what? When you actually put all your energy into something, it actually transforms and takes a life of its own. And it starts to become this new creative project that probably wouldn't have happened had the pandemic not happened, because there's too many distractions, right?
Yeah.
I've got three bands, you know what I mean? You never have enough time for anything, but all of a sudden it allowed me to focus on that one thing and create something brand new that I wouldn't have had the opportunity. So I kind of turned it into a positive, you know, I think. So
Now tell me, because this is also very curious in the music scene too. How does one build a studio? What exactly did you have to do to build a studio? All the right materials?
well, I kind of started out with I thought, you know what? I'm going to buy one of these Amish sheds. You see these sheds that the Amish build all over the place. They're really good wooden sheds, like a garden
Yeah.
shed. So I bought
Okay.
a large one of those. So that's what we're in right now. It's here right now. So we
Okay.
we insulated it completely and electrified it, and put internet in it, and put a whole bunch of outlets in it so I can plug everything in.
Of
And
course.
so yeah, so we did all of that. It's completely winterized, so even when it gets cold out, all the guitars in here stay in perfect humidity and perfect temperature. And I could put a drum set in here if I wanted. It's like a guitar booth as well, so you can
Okay.
turn things up loud and record them, purely without,
Engineer.
yeah. And I've got a whole bunch of good microphones I picked up, and watched a whole bunch of YouTubes how to operate the
Yep.
software like Ableton. It's called a digital audio workstation, the DAWs. And
Okay.
so I did it all myself, figured out how to record it, made a ton of mistakes, and then had to record a few things over. But at
Okay.
the end of
Things
it,
happen.
I took it to a professional in Ottawa there, and he had to listen. He loved the tapes, or the recordings, and so I got him to master the finished mix, because I wanted independent ears just to finish off the polish on the album, just to make sure it sounds like it belongs on radio and things like that. Because you can get a little tone deaf to your own music if you hear it over and over again. So.
Or critique it. I know a lot of musicians that are like, "Oh, I hate hearing my voice."
Exactly. So he was able to kind of do that. So it was actually, there's always this kind of, you know, little voice in your head. Is it ever going to be good enough? That's the little, you know, the little naysayer that goes, da, 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 don't, that kind of thing. But
Negative Nancy.
after you listen back, goes, wow, I actually like that. He did a really good job with that. So, and mix the sounds of the guitars in the right way, and got the vibe of the music kind of coming through, because I'd recorded more things than were needed. So he left a few things out that weren't needed, but he got to the real essence of the songs, which is really kind of cool.
I love that. I think that's incredible. And what I think is also nice is you guys got the benefit to create your own studio as opposed to going anywhere else. You can do it now back at home. And I'm sure you learned a lot of editing probably on the side as well, which you could tell that is such a pain. But,
Editing is
had to
always
do
a
it to
problem.
be
Yeah,
perfect. You know about that side. I'm sorry that you know about that side. That side is so stressful, but it's not any better in the radio scene. It's 100% worse. Just so you
I'm
know.
sure. I'm sure. I'm sure.
So, but I wanted to also give you the opportunity, if you can tell us, previously off air, I had mentioned to you if there was anything upcoming that was something you wanted to promote
Mhm.
currently with your industry, with your career. And you had mentioned to me that you and Danielle previously had just gotten back from a vacation or a tour.
Yeah, well, I retired, so I don't really call it a vacation. It was more like a Southeast Asia adventure sort of thing.
Okay.
So we left in November and just came back last week. We toured through the Philippines, Cambodia, Vietnam,
Wow.
Laos, and South Korea. So we saw a good smattering of that culture and all the different. It's an entirely different world over there, but very inspirational. There are very spiritual cultures over there, and it was very moving to see. You know, there's a lot happened to those people over there. They've been decimated. With genocide and things like that, but they're very vibrant cultures.
They're
And
learning a lot. Yeah.
yeah, the food was great. The scenery breathtaking. Um, it was such a great invigorating experience that I kept writing songs. I bring my guitar with me everywhere and I have that recorder. So we've come up with a whole bunch of new songs. I have about another 10 songs lined up for another album that I'm
Wow.
hoping to get going on very soon here in the studio. So
With that being said, what type of songs are these going to be based off of? Your trip? Your journey?
yeah, there's a few. One's going to be called Lessons of Life. Another song is going to be called With My Eyes Wide Open. It's kind of like travel with your eyes wide open.
Okay.
Um,
That's
there's a
beautiful.
Yeah, it's some interesting themes kind of popped up. I wanted it to be a little more personal album with a little more, not that the first one wasn't personal, but you just get better at kind of drawing it up, right? So there's another one I'm going to do. It's a tribute to Gord Downey from the Tragically Hip, who passed away. I was in a tribute band with him, so it's a tribute to him. It's called Up Where He Belongs. Is going to
Oh,
be the tribute. Yeah,
okay.
so there'll be that one. And then there's another one. You know, Anybody who's had a bit of despair and divorce will probably identify with the song "Sweet Soul Survivor." That I'm going to put that song together. So, and
Okay.
another title will be "If I Could Do It All Over Again." You know, and step into the light and open my eyes. So it's going to be kind of one of those maybe thought poking kind of albums, and with a
Okay.
lot of good melodies. I think I have some pretty good melodies. I
They
that are
sound, I
inspired
mean,
me.
just by the lyrics, they sound very inspirational and fun. Probably very, emotional, depending on the situation where it kind of pulls the listeners as opposed to heartstrings. Because, as a musician, you want to always pull heartstrings. That means that
You
you're
want
doing
you want
correctly.
yeah. You want to pump the song full of whatever pulls at the heartstrings, absolutely. And it's nice if you have a song that reaches more people in different ways, like if you use metaphor and
Yep.
things like that.
Or make us
Yeah,
cry.
that absolutely, it's lovely.
That's what you need to do, exactly. That's 100% what you need to do as a musician. But I wanted to also give you the opportunity because we talked about previously what's upcoming for yourself. But let's talk
Huh?
about, so your previous album that you had just
Hmm.
released, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken, that was it last year?
it was in July. Released the album in July. Elevation, it's called.
Okay, and was this 2023?
Hmm.
Sorry, I
2023.
want
Yeah.
to let you drink. Yeah. And with Elevation, just getting an opportunity of kind of what the album was, what was your
Hmm.
theme behind the album as to being called Elevation? What do you feel like you were
Now,
kind of trying to pursue into the album itself?
well, it was interesting. I wrote the collection of songs. I was going to first put out a 10-song album, but by the time I finished recording it, I had so many more songs to put on. I ended up doing 15 songs, so it was quite a lengthy album. But like
Wow.
with all the song titles, it was interesting. When I was talking about what are we going to title the album, I have no idea. Talking with my wife says, kind of threw some ideas around, but I said I'm going to print all the lyrics out. I'm going to just read the lyrics of the
Yeah.
entire album without the music, so we can just see what the naked topic is of each song. And then this kind of theme of elevation just went boom, and it was never ever consciously put into the songs. But there's elevation is the theme song. It was an original instrumental that I'd called elevation, and it's all about lifting the human spirit. It seems to be. There's Dragonfly is about this elusive love. Nothing to lose is take a chance on love. You've got nothing to lose, right?
Yeah.
You know, sort of thing. And you are the one.
Very
And
positive, uplifting kind of album.
yeah, there was seasons, and then there's song compromises, and save just one more life. Can we, you know, save one more and have some faith in me? That was another title. And then
Okay.
farewell, beautiful. It's time to move on. You know what I mean? There was another song. I'm on my way to Mexico. There's another fun song. And patience. It's about having patience is really love for other people. You know what I mean? You're just giving them space, right?
Yeah.
And yeah. So it's kind of this theme of elevating, kind of lifting people's spirit and taking them for where they are and moving them a little bit. That was kind of the theme that popped out from when I look back at all the lyrics. So,
I think that's beautiful. And now I was curious as to when you perform with Danielle for your duo, what exactly would you consider your type of genre together?
well, it's well,
Vibe.
harmony singing is a priority. So it's like Canadiana. So you're going to get finger style with a bit of boom chick guitar playing and kind of like Dust in the Wind, that kind of style of music when you have vocal singing.
Okay.
I take some. I'll be playing all the album songs are mostly electrified and have electric guitar and drums and things like that in
You
them.
play electric guitar, right?
I do, yeah. So, and I did most of the instruments on this album as well. But when we play it live, she does the djembe. So we do kind of more of a coffee house version of this album. So it's much more naked and personal and intimate when we perform it because I do a little more instrumentation on the acoustic guitar than just strumming along. So you're going to get a different experience than you would off the album. It's just another kind of unplugged version, I guess you might want to call it, but there's
And
more
then,
harmony and singing. Yeah.
yeah, so she just does the harmony, or does she play any instruments as well on the side?
She does all the percussion. She has like a güero that, and different shakers and a tambourine and, different
Okay, so all the
shakers.
fun
And
stuff. Yeah.
yeah, she does all of that in there and the djembe drum and, keeps the main beats. And I do all the acoustic guitar and we sing in harmony and that kind of pulls it all off. It's a very kind of more intimate presentation of the songs. So you'll hear the same melody with the good harmony and it's not covered up in any way, in the instrumentation. But it's a lot of fun to kind of try. So I actually had to kind of do two albums. So we have the acoustic set and then we have the electrified set. So, but it's kind of fun.
It's nice that you have both options kind of like in between.
Yeah,
On
exactly.
the all the albums itself, is she on them with you as well, or is she only performs with you live?
No, her vocals are all through this. Her djembe drum is on a few of the tracks.
Okay.
Um, yeah, like Faith in Me is her djembe drum. On Seasons, it's another instrumental. She plays the djembe drum, but her vocals are smacked all the way through this at different times. There's a couple of other guest appearances on the Save Just One More Life. A friend of mine,
Okay.
Paul Johnson,
Collaboration.
does a mandolin, and Bonnie sang a second female harmony on that one as well. So, but she helps guide the process, and when we do a video, she shoots the video, and we both do the whole video together. So that's how we've done
I
all
love
our
that.
YouTube.
That's definitely a duo, and I think that's incredible. Just get an opportunity to play with your best friend. Well, who could ask for
Oh yeah,
something better? You know,
yeah, absolutely.
I'm
Nobody can
sure.
call it. Nobody can call in sick, right? So.
Oh no, that's not fair. Somebody could be sick once in a while, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, well yeah, it's a
I
day
wanted
off for
to ask
both of us.
you, where can people find your album? Do you have just digital? Are you also selling it? Can people purchase it from you?
I have a bunch of copies here. If you email through the website, it's johndorschmusic.com. I can send one to you. I haven't got them up for sale in physical copies other than if you contact me directly or at a show. But
Okay.
there's digital download available through Spotify, it's Deezer, and I forget the other one now, but
Well, you're on Spotify.
and iTunes as well. So
iTunes is
yeah,
definitely a big one. Are you on CD
yeah,
Baby?
yeah. Not on CD Baby this time, but
Okay.
Then I have my YouTube channel. It's John Dorsch Music on YouTube, and so it's Spotify. There's also my Facebook, social media, and the John Dorsch Music website. That kind of all interfaces there. So
I love that. Well, definitely, I'll make sure that we can contact you after the show as well, because I would like to have a copy here for Hamilton Radio. I know we're also playing you prior because Michael gave us your music, but I like having it in my car. Me and Chris would like to listen to it. We like to also just kind of be very happy and thankful for all the guests that we get from Michael Stover, because you guys are all incredible. And I know you all get an opportunity to hang out with him and meet with him. And prior to me saying the amazing compliments of him, how did you get a chance to know Michael? Like, how did he reach out to you? How do you know Michael Stover?
well, it's another organic kind of bunch of coincidences. So Michael's a great inspirational guy. He's very positive, and
Yeah.
he kind of provides that spark when you know, I don't know my way around in the music business, very well. I hadn't put out an album, or it's like, where do you go? You can do CD Baby, you can do all this kind of stuff, but you don't, you need somebody to kind of quarterback, right? So, and there's a friend of mine who's also with Michael Stover as is Corey Coons. So he's on
Okay.
with him. So I asked him about it, and he recommended contacting Michael. So I contacted him, and I hadn't recorded the album just yet. I said, just send me what you got whenever, and I'll have a listen to it. So he really liked what he heard, and agreed to help me with it. So it was very he made it very easy. Really is what he did.
That's awesome. He's a very positive person. I have yet gotten the chance to actually talk to him like physically on the phone versus email, but I'm very
Mhm.
grateful for all the opportunity and musicians that he sent me. You guys are all incredible, unique in your special way, and I just love the opportunity to just talk to you and see how I can help promote and make you famous as best as I can.
I
Because
appreciate
just
your effort.
yeah, and just getting the opportunity to listen to your music and get to know you as a person just warms my heart, and I really enjoy loving and having, you type of musicians on my show, because I feel like when's the type of chance as you being a musician, do you ever get a chance to sit down with somebody and do an interview? Is that anything anymore? I know everybody now is coming out with podcasts, but it was like nothing back then. Now all of a sudden it's definitely becoming a lot. And I feel like as a musician, do you ever get that chance? Do you ever want to tell your story back? I don't know if everybody gets the opportunity.
Locally, not so much. It's just the only avenue lately has sort of been podcasts. I've done a few
Okay.
like this, but before Michael came along, there was like nothing. You'd have to put your own YouTube out and look at zero watchers on it. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
there was like during COVID, everybody was putting out their really you know unedited videos, if you know what I mean. So it was kind of I didn't want to do that. I wanted to always kind of put some, what you want to be professional, right? And leave a good impression,
Yeah.
and if you're going to put something out, I think it needs to be um, something that should be in a library. You know what I mean? You need to be proud of it, right? So that's why do it right. Get somebody like Michael to help you along, who's a professional, right? So he's consummate. And you know what? I've never seen a guy. You can send an email to him and he answers it immediately. It doesn't matter. I don't know. I don't know when he sleeps.
You know what? I have to say the same thing. I think Chris had contacted him previously about something, and he responded 2 seconds later, and I was like, huh?
Oh
Nobody's
yeah.
busy? I feel like he'd be so busy with all his artists, but people make a lot of different times for everyone for their schedule. So
Oh yeah. Well, it's interesting. You can write an album, and they can be all completely original songs, and then all of a sudden you get all these you know strikes and things like that because apparently somebody's put out the same song or something like that. So anyway, he navigated that. It
oh
wasn't a problem, but it's something that as somebody who isn't really so familiar with the business
yes.
would have a lot of problems with. Like, how do you deal with a legal issue like that? I can't afford a lawyer.
Probably like
You know,
trademark or something, right? That, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a trademark. So anyway, it was actually just a mistake. But Michael had to sort of step in and write a letter, and it was to Sony or something like that because the issue was with a copyright with Sony or something like that. So
I
anyway,
got
it
you.
ends up it
It's
was
deeper
nothing at
than
the
you
end of
think.
the day. but it's something I was way beyond me that he handled just like that. So anyway.
Well, John, I wanted to ask you, did you have any upcoming events currently with your music or
Uh,
whether
I
it's with any of your previous bands?
I have a few things already lined up. So let me see now. At the end of the month, I have a spotlight performance. So we're going to do a half an hour performance of the acoustic coffee house version. It's a place called Rasputin's. They do it's the songwriters kind of center of Ottawa sort of thing. So it's a really good place to play. There's a lot
Ooh,
of really good listeners. A lot of really good listeners are going to be listening to hear your music. They want original music there, and they push it, sort of thing. So
okay.
it's a chance for my duo to stand out there, which is really nice. So we're going to do that, and I've got probably I think five performances lined up so far of the duet this summer. I've got a couple of farmers markets, and I've got a couple of other performances that um, I can't remember off the top of my head where they are, but they're in the
Okay.
calendar. And then there's the other G-Men thing. They play probably twice a month as well. So we've got lots of music coming up to keep me going, and writing a new or recording a new album is what we want to work
Coming anywhere near New Jersey, New York area anytime soon? All up in Canada still.
on. I don't have the working visa to go over there just yet. So anyway, maybe
Okay.
down the road.
Sure. Because we'd like to have you in the studio, obviously, next time, hopefully.
Oh well.
But when we
Well,
get the
as
opportunity,
long as I'm not being paid, I think that's perfectly okay. I can take my guitar with me and play anywhere in New York. So
yes, no, I really think it's amazing. You are such an incredible artist. I do appreciate the time that you've given me today. Please tell Danielle she's lucky to have you. And I would love to hear you guys perform live. I think that's incredible. I mean, even on the tracks that you previously sent us, you get the opportunity to hear both, but obviously acoustic. Sometimes I feel like it's more fresh and real, kind of makes you feel like you're right there, even though I'm in New Jersey and you're in Canada. So with that being
well,
said,
I'm happy. I'm just going to send you a copy. Okay. So of course, and we last year in August we did the launch of the album, the release, right? So we did that. We had a theater in Perth. It was a nice event, and we put on the full album performance done coffee house, just the two of us on stage, and
wow,
it
how'd it
was yeah.
go?
So anyway, there was a bunch of YouTubes that were taken of that, and they're on the YouTube channel, so you can see actually how our performances as a duet, performing some of those new songs there. So
Yeah,
how they translate from the album to the live version, get a sample of that. So it
I
was a
love
really good event. There was a bunch of storytelling and and narration that went along with the event. It was a lot of fun.
Well, I appreciate that. It's been incredible talking to you. I wish you so much luck in the music industry. I
Thank
will
you.
have Christopher contact you or Michael, and we'll give you our information to give us the album.
Awesome.
Also, if there's a cost for it, let us know. We don't mind paying it. We do still appreciate just having you as an
No, I'm
artist, and
happy to
we know
mail
you're
it. Happy to
trying
mail
to
it. To you.
make money.
Happy to mail
Nobody lets us pay. You guys are not fair. You have to make something. It costs you a lot. Nobody knows that in the back. Everybody has to understand it. It's stressful. It's struggle. So allow it to happen if it does.
it. Okay. Thank
Well,
you,
that's it.
Danny. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. I hope you have a good rest of your night. I really appreciate you being here today. And is there anything else that you want to close the show with? Anything else you want to share with the world?
Um, thanks for listening, New Jersey, and all over the world.
Yeah, we are definitely all over the world on Hamilton Radio.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was incredible having you, John. Thank you all so much for tuning into the Dani Perro Show. I'm live every Tuesday from 6:30 to 7:30. And make sure you guys tune in every Tuesday. You never know who my guest is next. Currently, I want to stay updated because we are still having the amazing Michael Stover's artist for this month into May, technically, which is tomorrow, and I think a little bit into June. So make sure you guys stay tuned. And thank you again, John. If you can give out your social media where people can find you before we end the show.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, so we've got it's my YouTube channel. It's John Dorsch Music on YouTube, or if you go /@ JDM2112. That's at JDM2112. And then you've got John Dorsch Music. It's all lowercase, JOHNDORSCH MUSIC.com. And that will take you to my main website that links to everything else too as well. And I've got Spotify.com. Look up my name, John Dorsch, as the artist, or the album is called Elevation. That's what it looks like. So there's me standing with the guitars.
That
That's
you're
a photograph.
grounding into the. I just realized that you're like grounding, right? Your feet are in the ground,
Right. That's
technically on
right.
Earth. That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
it's a Photoshop picture there, but my wife took that, and that's in Colca Canyon in Peru. So
Wow,
anyway,
beautiful.
yeah. Then there's Spotify, and then there's John Dorsch music on iTunes and Deezer as well. So, and Facebook.com, you've got um, John Dorsch music on Facebook as well. That's what it is.
And we'll stay up to date. You have current new drops and singles you're currently working on, or you might just release a teaser for the album when it's out, and we'll go from there.
That's a good idea. Actually, I should probably do that.
Yeah, you should always try to release a teaser before you do singles. I try to tell musicians that, but you guys always want to do what feels most comfortable to you, what you think is best, who you kind of think that you can go off by. But it's
That's
just
why
different options in this industry.
you're absolutely right. These are the things you're always focused on the goal, and that's before the goal. So you kind of miss it, I guess.
Yes, and you don't want to show too much because it's a lot you're putting out and working with, and you want to boost up the anticipation for people.
Yeah, you want to whet their appetite and go, oh, that's kind of really catchy. You want to give them a little bit of a hook, and
That's exciting. I can't wait for
and
the whole album to come out. Exactly. Now you know, John.
thanks for the reminder. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. It was incredible talking to you. We will contact you later this afternoon. Thank you again, and I hope everyone you have a great night.
Thank you.